Almost Got Him isn't just one of the best episodes of Batman the Animated Series, it's everything that makes this show special, distilled into 22 minutes. It embellishes Gotham's most infamous villains, turns a simple card game into a character study, and proves why this series is still the gold standard for superhero storytelling. On the surface, it's just 5 rogues swapping stories over a poker table, but underneath it's a clever exploration of who these characters are, how they see Batman, and why Gotham feels like such a rich lived-in world. And the best part is that it doesn't feel like a typical Batman story. Instead, it unfolds more like an old noir thriller. While there are certainly thrilling action scenes as the villains recount their schemes, the episode's core focus remains on spotlighting the rogues and their unique place in Gotham's world. The episode has a very simple premise. Joker, Penguin, Two-Face, Poison Ivy, and Killer Croc are all gathered in the Stacked Deck, Gotham's seediest dive, playing cards and waiting out the night. The premise alone is intriguing. Usually seen executing nefarious schemes, here the villains simply hang out, blending into Gotham's gritty nightlife. Their presence is so entrenched in the city's identity that even the seedy patrons treat them like regulars, reinforcing how abnormality is normalized in Gotham and why Batman's mission remains essential. At least that would be the case if they weren't all secretly undercover police officers, but no one knows that yet, so shh. There had been other episodes with villain team-ups, like The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne, but in that case, they had all been brought together by Hugo Strange. Here, they are deliberately choosing to hang out. The show uses this poker game as a framing device, letting each villain share their best story about the time they almost got Batman. It's a brilliant way to structure the episode. Small, contained flashbacks that show us Batman's resourcefulness, while also revealing how each villain sees the world, and their definition of getting someone. What makes these stories so engaging is how perfectly they fit the personalities telling them. Poison Ivy's story, for instance, lures Batman into a poison pumpkin patch with the aim of unmasking him. Two-Face is a bit more theatrical, with Batman strapped to a giant penny, which was a beautiful homage to a classic Two-Face comic book story. The Penguin's plot is meticulous and frankly overthought, luring Batman into his aviary of doom. Honestly, I think he came up with that name before deciding on the actual details of the plot. And then there's the Joker's story, which is pure attention-grabbing chaos. He plans to electrocute Batman live on television using an electric chair powered by laughter, because Joker can't just kill someone. He needs an audience. He needs spectacle. Even Killer Croc's story tells us something about him, as ridiculous as it is. The infamous, "I threw a rock at him." A lot of people point out how it's such a dumb, simple line, and how it works because Croc is dumb and simple compared to the others, and the fact that the other villains just stare at him in silence afterwards is one of the funniest beats in the entire show. But remember, this isn't actually Killer Croc. If you've seen the episode, then you know that the twist is that Batman impersonates Croc to get information out of them. In Croc's debut episode, Vendetta, he was shown to be cunning and brutal, disguising himself as the slovenly Detective Harvey Bullock to frame him for kidnapping criminals. Sure, it wasn't the work of a criminal mastermind, but it was more sophisticated than throwing a rock at someone. But the villains don't notice that, which shows how little they know Croc, or perhaps how little they think of him. Small details like this are why this is one of the best episodes. It builds the world and the relationships between the characters without using words. Beyond the stories themselves, this episode is packed with subtle character details that inform us of the characters. Joker cheating at cards because there's truly no honour among thieves. The villain's choice of tea, the Penguin's slice of lemon, Two-Face's half and half, and Poison Ivy's herbal brew. And Two-Face thinking he might win with a 2-pair, showing just how much his obsession with duality rules his life. This tells us how the villains interact with the world without some expositional word dump. What really makes Almost Got Him stand out is its atmosphere, especially considering it's mostly driven by dialogue. The art direction here is phenomenal, even by Batman the Animated Series' already high standards. The bar is dark and lit mostly by a single hanging light over the table, giving it this noir gangster movie feel. And then there's the look of each of the villains' stories. They have their own primary colours. Poison Ivy's is red and orange, Two-Face's is green and yellow, Penguin's is black and blue, and the Joker's is black and white. Couple this with the phenomenal score, as per usual, and every segment almost feels like a distinct episode. Another key strength of Almost Got Him is how much it trusts the audience. This isn't a flashy action spectacle, although there are moments like Batman's escape from the aviary of doom, but primarily a story told through sharp, engaging dialogue. You learn so much about these villains just by hearing them talk, and that's a testament to how well written they are. And as much as this is a showcase for Batman's rogues, it's also a showcase for Batman himself. He manages to overcome each of the villains through inventive means, and all of these stories end with Batman outsmarting them. And of course, in the present, he's the one who gets the last laugh by tricking them all. So, while the villains always almost get him, he always gets them. I particularly like how this episode flips the usual structure of a Batman story on its head. Many episodes are told from Batman's perspective. He's solving a mystery, hunting down clues, and we follow him through the action. Here, Batman barely appears for most of the runtime and says very little. Instead, we're looking at him through the eyes of his enemies. Every story they tell builds on Batman's legend. To Poison Ivy, he's a stubborn survivor who keeps coming back no matter how tightly she traps him. To Two-Face, he's an unpredictable variable who messes up even the most meticulously planned scheme. And to the Joker, he's the ultimate straight man, the one guy who won't play along with the Joker's insane sense of humour. What's more, this kind of structure allows the writers to explore Batman's rogues in a way we almost never get to see. They're not monologuing to henchmen or yelling threats at Batman, they're just comparing notes with peers. This includes complaining about their lot in life and bonding over their shared hatred of him. You come away from this episode thinking, these aren't just cartoon villains, these are real people with their own grudges, egos, and a strange camaraderie. It makes them feel like people rather than cardboard cutout villains. While this is an ensemble episode and each villain gets ample screen time, Joker naturally dominates the table. Unlike other episodes where he's more chaotic, here he's calm and casual, cracking jokes, yet carrying an undercurrent of menace. This restraint makes his presence even more unsettling. And that's part of what makes him so scary. He doesn't have to be loud to be dangerous. Even when he's laughing with the others, you can feel that tension underneath. He confidently encourages the other rogues to tell their stories because he knows that his will trump them all. While the other rogues talk about how they almost killed Batman, Joker's plan is still unfolding and it is far darker. He intends to kill Catwoman and turn her into pet food, and as the Joker reminds them, there's more than one way to get someone. Even for Gotham's rogues, that's crossing a line, and it reminds us why Batman can never afford to underestimate him. Another reason this episode works so well is in its timing. It aired towards the end of the first run after the writers had fully nailed down these characters. By then we'd already enjoyed standout episodes focusing on many of the rogues. Two-Face Part 1, my favourite episode. Pretty Poison for Poison Ivy. The Laughing Fish and the Joker's Favour for the Joker. Only the Penguin was lacking a standout episode, although he had appeared multiple times. So when they're all sitting around that poker table, we know them. We understand their grudges, which makes their stories feel like extensions of their established personalities, not random anecdotes. And that understanding of the characters carries over to the episode's tone. It's funny, but it's never silly. It's serious, but it's not too grim. That's such a difficult balance to strike, and it's exactly what made Batman the Animated Series stand out from every other superhero cartoon. And that's classic noir storytelling, moments of levity in between the darkness. It makes Gotham feel like a real city, a place where even the criminals have personalities and petty rivalries. At the end of the day, what makes Almost Got Him stand out isn't just the twist or the humour, it's that it represents everything Batman the Animated Series did better than any other superhero cartoon. It treated its characters seriously. It engaged the audience and knew we'd pay attention. It gave us villains who were as interesting as the hero, and it let those villains have depth even when they were being ridiculous. And of course, it gave us Batman at his most Batman, quietly sitting at the table, letting everyone else talk themselves into trouble, then swooping in at the perfect moment to save the day. Almost Got Him isn't just a fun villain story, it's the episode that proves why Batman the Animated Series is still the definitive Batman adaptation. It takes a simple card game and turns it into a character study, making Gotham feel alive, and its villains feel real. That's what made Batman the Animated Series so unique. It treated its characters seriously and trusted its audience to follow along. If you had to show someone one episode to explain why this show is still the definitive take on Batman, Almost Got Him is an excellent choice. Okay, that's it for this week's essay. If you like the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, tell all your friends about me. You know how YouTube works. If you really enjoyed the video and have the means, please consider making use of the thanks button to send a buck or two my way, because every little helps. I offer channel memberships for $1.99 a month. This will get you early access to my weekly video essay, priority responses to your comments, members-only videos, custom emojis, and an icon on your profile indicating that you're one of my people. And special thanks to my channel members. Everyone who was a member at the time of this video's creation is listed on the screen right now. If you want to see your name amongst all these wonderful people, join the channel now. Next time, I'll be back on Friday and we'll get back to the results of my latest Superman the Animated Series villain poll to talk about the lusty queen of Almerac, Maxima. And next Monday I want to commemorate my 200th video essay by talking about a very significant story from Superman the Animated Series. The three-parter World's Finest, a team-up between Batman and Superman which set up much of what the DC animated universe would go on to become. Hope to see you then.